Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Ranking Secrets with Authority Builders. I'm your host, Jake Sirota, and today we're going to be talking about link velocity. How fast can you actually build backlinks without looking too spammy in Google's eyes? This is definitely one of those SEO topics that I think is guilty of oversimplification by a lot of people. Everywhere you look, you'll see people saying, oh, don't build links too fast. Google's going to penalize you if you build too many links at one time. And, slow and steady wins the race when it comes to backlinks. And none of that is actually helpful because Google doesn't have like a speed limit when it comes to links. There's no specific number. There's no monthly cap and there's no red line that you cross where Google's like, oh, they built more than 20 links this month. Let's slap them with a penalty. That's just not how it works. Link velocity simply means the rate at which your site gains backlinks. That's it. It's not mystical. It's not some sort of secret sauce. The real problem is that people think that there's some sort of unwritten rules or rules that Google is not telling us that will get them slapped on the wrist when it comes to link velocity. And it's not like that at all. It's more of a pattern signal. And Google has dynamic algorithms that does not look at patterns like that in isolation. So if there's one most important thing that you need to understand with link velocity, it's that Google doesn't really care how fast your links grow. Google cares whether that growth makes sense based on how fast your brand is growing across the web. That's the whole game. If link growth matches the story of your brand and what you're doing in real life, then that's fine, and Google's going to reward that. But if it doesn't, and they're catching on to these spammy tactics that you're doing, well, they're not going to reward you. And before we get too much further, I just want to give you one more reminder to like and subscribe if you find any of these videos valuable. We're here to help. Now, let's go ahead and talk about how we can make this a little bit more concrete and less ambiguous. Imagine a brand new website. They have no authority, they have no context online, they have no traffic, no brand searches, no social media accounts even. If they suddenly start picking up like 4,000 links a month, all with the same anchor text pointing to their money pages with optimized anchors, then that's going to look really strange to Google. And that's where you might run into an issue when it comes to spammy link building. And it's not because 4,000 or 100 or whatever number is a big number. It's because nothing else is really supporting that growth and it looks unnatural in Google's eyes. Now, let's go ahead and flip the scenario. If you have an established website, it's years old, consistent content, you have people on LinkedIn who are posting about your brand, you have some brand recognition. Maybe you have a few pieces of content ranking, and if you launch a new resource or a new case study, it makes sense that you would get an influx of new backlinks, maybe even 50, 100, maybe even 1,000 if it goes viral. Now that is real growth. That's real growth that Google is not going to penalize someone for because it's real engagement, real authority, and it's adding actual value to the internet. So just remember, in this example, the established website that is doing real things in the real world actually makes sense to invest in digital PR compared to that new brand that just launched and doesn't really have a foot to stand on. Well, why would you try to invest that much money if you're not actually adding real value in the real world? Now, let me be clear. You can still pay money for backlinks in game this system. It's just harder and harder to do that without a real business adding real value to the world behind that. That's why established brands continue to win because they understand this concept. All right, so whenever people come to us looking for link building consulting, a lot of them mess up because they ask, well, how many links per month can I build where it's still safe? At what point is link building unsafe when it comes to link velocity? And that's kind of the wrong question. Instead, what a better framing would be was, does this link growth align with everything else that Google is seeing online about this brand? Because Google, and especially AI models, are not looking at just links. They're looking at how old your website is, how your brand has grown historically, how often you publish content, how accessible your website is, whether or not your content is being referenced or linked to on other publications. what your anchor text distribution looks like. There's tons of things that Google is looking at in order to determine who is actually contributing to real world growth in their industry. And if you think about Google or any other AI model's job, their primary goal is to make information easier for people to understand. And if they are confident in citing you, then they're going to recommend and cite your brand when people are asking it questions. And it's important to remember that if you're trying to influence how AI models and Google look at your brand, link velocity is not something that you need to be extremely worried about unless you are creating thousands and thousands of backlinks and your company is not really doing anything behind the scenes. If you are launching new products, if you're creating case studies, white papers, and you're getting mentioned all across the internet, then this link building looks natural. That's the point. Natural links are the ones that still move the needle today. So going on the other side of that, that's also why people think maybe slowing down their link building efforts is an automatically safe strategy. And I see this mistake constantly. People think that, oh, if I just drip low quality links, here and there, it's going to add value and Google won't notice, and I'll still be able to game the system. And that's not really how it works, especially in the age of AI overviews. Bad links are still links. And Google, with tons and tons of AI content flooding the web, is trying to understand how they can use their resources in the most efficient way possible so that they don't have to index and crawl a whole bunch of content that adds no value. So if you make it easy for them by creating content that does add value, then they're going to cite and trust your brand. It's that simple. Okay, another thing when it comes to link velocity that is commonly misunderstood is spikes or sudden spikes in backlinks or referring domains. You might have a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush where you keep track of backlinks and you see that you suddenly got thousands of new backlinks. And you want to panic about that because you think that that could look spammy in Google's eyes. Now, that's not necessarily the case. Spikes can actually happen pretty naturally if things like new product launches go well and get cited in real, press releases. If you are launching a new tool that goes viral, something goes viral on LinkedIn, and people are constantly looking at it. Just because you're getting thousands and thousands or hundreds of backlinks from new sources that you don't recognize doesn't mean you need to panic. Because remember what I said earlier, these less than these not so good looking backlinks that maybe used to add value are not really going to get you penalized unless you're doing it in a way that is really manipulating Google's resources. So another example of a huge spike in referring domains or backlinks could be if maybe someone is trying to launch a negative SEO attack against you. And a lot of times, negative SEO attacks are not done well and they're a waste of money. And they don't actually do anything to harm your actual organic traffic or the revenue that you're getting from organic traffic. You might just see it pop up in your backlink profile. That doesn't mean that you should go and rush to disavow those backlinks just because you're seeing a huge spike. If it's not clear that you're being hit with an unnatural penalty, there's probably no reason to go ahead and rush to disavow those files. You will understand if you are getting penalized if traffic suddenly goes to zero and you get a notification in your Google Search Console that Google enacted a manual action penalty on you. Unless that's happening, it's usually not worth it to worry that much about these spikes in link velocity. Now, one more thing that I want to talk about is historical patterns, because that's huge whenever it's talking about link velocity. Google doesn't just look at your site today, it looks at how your site behaved over time and how things grew. So if your site had been picking up 5 to 10 links a month for years, but then suddenly jumps to over 3 million with no obvious triggers, that's going to stand out to Google's systems. But if your site has grown evenly with bursts and lulls, that's normal. Real growth is never in a straight line. Real sites don't just grow like that. A lot of times there is real fluctuations. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you're thinking about a natural backlink profile. So this is also why context matters a lot whenever people talk about things like more aggressive link building strategies. Whenever I hear that term, I ask, aggressive for who? Aggressive for a brand new affiliate website is very different than aggressive for a SaaS company that just got tons of raising from private capital. Or it's different than that of a media website that's constantly getting linked to, or an e-commerce brand that goes viral on social media. There's no universal scale. Everything is relative to authority, age, activity, and visibility online. Those are the things that matter whenever you're thinking about, hey, is this link velocity natural or not? So when someone asks me, how fast can I build backlinks without triggering issues? My honest answer is as fast as you can realistically justify, as long as you're not building the wrong types of backlinks. If you can point to new content, PR activity, product launches, brand mentions, things like that, then the faster link growth is not only safe, it actually makes a lot of sense, and you should be investing in building links actively. If you can't point to anything changing, then even the most modest growth can look a little bit off, especially if you're using outdated techniques mentioned before, like anchor text, over spammy anchor text and Web 2.0 blogs and types of links that just don't work anymore. So my advice is to stop obsessing over numbers. There's no safe monthly quota. There's no magic place to understand if you're building too many links or not. But what you can do is look at things from a data perspective. You can look at your competitors. You can drill down into actual search engine results pages. And you can ask yourself questions like, hey, does this backlink growth that my website is getting match reality? Does it match the website's history? Does it match what's happening on our other social media profiles and what's happening whenever it comes to us creating helpful content for people? Those are the questions that you need to be asking. And if you might be a little lost on how AI models are understanding your brand or how you show up in Google's AI overviews, look no further. Our team here at Authority Builders is now offering free AI visibility audits. You can book your free call to understand how your website is being cited in AI answers compared to that of competitors. We have years of experience here at Authority Builders, so we can make sure that your site is optimized both for AI and for traditional Google search. So if you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to book your free AI visibility audit with us. And until next time, keep building that real authority. Cheers.